In the interest of getting the timing of this gear adjusted as easily as possible, I'm going to remove that bush which I can get at from the back. Put the shutter in place and then put that back on in place here. Just makes it easier for fitting the shutter back, and the shutter is pretty much ready to go on here. You line up the holes. Get the levers through the holes here first, I suppose. Now, one of these has to go in first. That's it, that's done. It's just a case of holding your mouth right. And 4 screws held that together from the back. They're all correctly placed. I'll just nip those screws up. These are only small screws. Don't overdo it tightening them up. You'll end up wishing you hadn't if you break something. Yeah, how can I get to that through there? I think I probably still can. Just got to line up various things here. I've got my cocking action here and my shutter release action here, which got to be lined up with these 2 shafts. I've also got to get this pin lined up with that hole in the casting there. So all these things are possible if you hold your mouth right. Take your time. That's in. That's in. Okay, those pieces are all in place. I do have it. Can I get that bush in from there? I don't know that I can. Oh, I can. I've got to do it from the other side. Yeah, that's doable. Just trying to make this easy on myself because I'm a lazy bugger. Not looking for hard work. I'll flip this over shortly and see what else I need to do. Discover the error of my ways if I've made a mistake. Make sure that's all square. Snip those 4 screws up tight. That looks good. Now the detent for my shutter speeds. Yes, I was correct. I thought the detent was here. That's fine. I was wondering what that little ball was going to be fitted, but now I know. Okay. That looks okay. That couples to the shutter speeds there. Just checking to see if I've got the full range of motion here. It's looking hopeful. How can I rotate that aperture ring while I'm holding this? No, that looks good. Yeah, I'm willing to believe that's correct. I'm undecided as the best order to do this. Maybe useful to close up the shutter entirely before I put it on the front of the camera. But in any event, I need to have a look at this. This is our depth of field pointers. And at the moment, they do not move as freely as I'd like. They certainly move, but it requires quite a bit of push on there. This is just too gummy. I have to say I hate these things. A similar method was used on one of the Retinettes from memory, and they're always a pain. If I'm very lucky, I'll lift this off, I'll be able to see exactly how the components are aligned underneath and put them back in exactly the same positions. That's if I'm very lucky. Let me prop this up on the block of wood and study the alignment. You can see this is all very gummy. You can see that grease there, that's all dried out, so it's gone sticky. I only see one spring here, I think, on that pointer. I don't see a second spring. Alright, I'll take some still photos of this so I've got them for my record, and then I'll pull it all to bits. Okay, let's start lifting the pieces out carefully. Then the separator, that little cam, and unhook the spring, lift out this pointer, this cam plate here. What am I looking at? Does that lift out? Oh, it's trapped in with two screw heads, so I need to undo those two screws. 3 because the other one's on that post there. I might be able to leave that one if I can on this spring post, because that's got a couple of notches to engage a screwdriver either side. Will this come out? No, that would be too easy. Okay, see if we can have the spring off. Be very careful with a spring like that. They are exceptionally easily damaged. Right, I've got to undo this thing here, so I need a screwdriver with the centre notched out so that it can engage those 2 notches.
I probably have one.
This one will probably do it. Yeah, just grabbing that and no more. See if I can spin that loose with my tweezers now, I think. And that's up near that post. I've got to keep that in mind, so I'll put it back in the right position. Otherwise I'll have my spring acting in the wrong spot, which won't help. Right, that should lift out now, and it does. Those are my components, all apart and ready to be cleaned. So now I've just got to clean these carefully with some naphtha and a cotton bud, and then reassemble everything. Sounds easy. I'll do it. I have all the componentry clean now and free from the old grease, so I'm just going to lubricate this by rubbing some pencil lead on it, some graphite pencil, rather than use grease or anything of that nature, because we've got a lot of broad flat surfaces, and grease tends to stick things like that together. And even if it starts off nice and free running, over time it tends to turn to custard. Right, let's see what we can do with this. So I've got the 3 screws that hold this thing down in place. Now the spring post was there. Let's see if I can get that screwed into position. That went unreasonably smoothly. The 2 plain screws were here. They're shoulder screws too, so the shoulder on the screw is acting as a guide for that ring. We can check the motion there. That's nice and smooth, absolutely no resistance to speak of. That's just ideal. Here's our spring and one of our 2 pointers, which must fit there. I might rub some graphite on both sides of this too for the same reason. Just want to use a good soft lead pencil. One that's more graphite than clay. There's the divider. I'll do the same to that. And the spring runs around one of those two surfaces, and I don't know which one, so we'll just do both of those surfaces and then we won't have to worry about it. That post will hold that divider, and the spring can go in position, which means I've got to get it over that spring post It's a pretty fine spring. If you can hear lots of noises in the background, it's just my crazy neighbour doing crazy neighbour things. Yes, went on. Hook that into position. It even hooked into position, okay. That went fairly smoothly. Alright, so the little cam acts in that slot there, so I'm just running some molybdenum paste down there so that it runs smoothly. And it probably goes, I can consult my photos if I need to, it probably fits on there like that. And as it swings, yeah, that's fine, that's good. So, my second pointer, I'll give this the pencil lead birthday too, I think. And once round the inside, this will drop in there. Now that has to go over the pin on that little cam thing there. That needs to be at that end of its travel. As that comes together, both pointers should meet in the centre. Now they're slightly out, that's one tooth closer to the centre, so let me move that around here one. It's just shifted now. These a set of gears here so that these counter rotate. I'm trying to get them synchronized. Let's try that. Most definitely not. sure there's some method to do this that's very straightforward and trouble-free, but I'm not finding it. That's it. That looks good. So this plate goes on. It's got a hole in it. In fact, it's got two holes. And looking at it, it goes there. And the retainer just looking to see if that's got notches. It has got notches. The retainer goes here. So there's my depth of field pointers. And that moves much smoother than it did when we started. So that's good. I'm pleased about that. Oh, that couples with that fork down there. Okay, this little fork here couples to a pin that runs through there. I can do that. That leaves us our detent ball for the shutter speed detent, which is where here goes there. And not a hell of a lot else besides. Oh, the rangefinder coupling pin, which I believe can actually be fed through it could go in from the front of the shutter or the back of the shutter. We'll put it in from the back, I think, because that's going to cause us least grief. We can put that in late. Okay, so here's the detents for our shutter speed setting, so I'll just put a little bit of molybdenum paste on those. That's looking good. And I'll put a speck on there and stick my detent ball on there. What I've done there is use some molybdenum paste to lubricate that spot. And this track here, that's for our shutter speed setting there, isn't it? I'll just run some around there for good measure. This should fit onto the front of the shutter. I've got to get that slot lined up with a pin down here. And not lose the ball, of course. Oh, okay, I know what's going wrong here. Some fool had left this ring in place. as we know what the fool's name would be. And I can see that joy of joy, the video camera is complaining that its battery is tired. That's a surprise. Oh, I think that actually fitted. Let's put my retainer ring in place. Of course, I may not have my timing correct now after all that shifting of things backwards and forwards. No, it didn't look like I have. I've shifted something 1 or 2 stops over getting my shutter speed dial back on there. I'll have to lift that off and put it back on in the right spot. But apart from that, they're certainly working correctly, so I'm pleased about that. And the depth of field pointers, are they coupled? No, that pin didn't drop through.
I've got to find that.